Okay, welcome to another edition of the Will Be Blood Fight Show. I'm your host, Dave Duenas. Okay, let's get into, let's talk about Calzaghe, Jones, and Bernard Hopkins, okay? Obviously, we've already heard about Calzaghe saying he wouldn't give Bernard Hopkins the rematch, right? Well, let's really get into play why he said that and what angle is he trying to use in saying something like that immediately after Bernard Hopkins defeats Pavlik. Okay, well, first off, if you really look at the history of boxing, the boxers of the nowadays, from the days back in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and even the 70s, were not getting the amount of money they're getting now. So business-wise, boxers have grown to be more intelligent and more lucrative in what they're doing when they're directing their career to kind of get the money that they well deserve. Okay, so in already saying that, I'm kind of looking at Calzaghe being more of a businessman, not knowing what is the outcome of him facing Jones. I think he's trying to play it safe and really just trying to reserve himself immediately after the shock that we all received with Bernard Hopkins defeating Pavlik, okay? I think what he's doing, he's being a very good businessman by making everybody go, what? You're not going to give him a rematch? By him saying right now, just really bluntly going, I'm not going to give him this rematch. He doesn't deserve it. I clearly beat him the first time. I mean, why give everybody the press already going, oh, okay, it's going to happen, and then the build up into it is going to die out because it's probably not going to happen until late next year, right? So why not make everybody shout for it? Why not make everybody, you know, salivate over this bout by making us think it's not going to happen? That's one of the strategies that I'm looking at Joe Calzaghe, is that he's a much older fighter. He's 37 years old. He's a very well-maintained fighter. This is a guy that's going to really sit back and look at all the options that are out there for him, and already knowing if I defeat Roy Jones Jr., the next big money fight, just because that Bernard has rejuvenated himself, would be B-Hop, right? So he's going to just shoot out there. I'm not going to give him that rematch, but in the back of his mind, and the people that are advising him, you know, more likely they're saying, this is a big money fight. Don't say anything at this particular moment yet until we know what happens with you and Jones. Now, Roy Jones Jr., I'm going to tell you this right now. Him being at the fight with Bernard Hopkins versus Pavlik, I'm going to say this. My original pick was Calzaghe. Now, I'm kind of on the fence. I don't know who to pick. Reason being is because with such a spectacular win that Bernard Hopkins has shown and really has defeated the odds that was up against him, I think in a lot of ways it's inspired Roy Jones Jr. Now, if you really look at this bout, Roy has really promoted this fight with Calzaghe more than he's really promoted his last 5-6 years fights that he's had. He's been showing up to the press conferences. He's been, he showed up at the Bernard Hopkins fight. When's the last time you've seen him show up at a fight and then talk about that's upcoming for him? Okay, so him witnessing this spectacular win that we all witnessed, the whole world has witnessed of Bernard Hopkins, I think it's given him a little bit of an up saying, shit, I better have my game right that night when I'm facing Calzaghe, because the biggest fight of my career, the biggest money bout of my career could be slipping through my hands if I lose to Joe Calzaghe. So I still don't know my pick. Now, I did a Keys to Victory a while back. If you guys been consistent with my boxing show, you've seen my Keys to Victory with Roy Jones Jr. versus Joe Calzaghe. Well, I'm going to have to redo it all over again. I'm also going to have to redo my pick all over again, because I sure the hell don't want to lose another bet. I hate losing bets. It's you know, I know I shouldn't be betting, but it only makes the fight game for me a lot more interesting. It only puts me more hyped up about seeing the bout, okay? Okay? Now, Bernard Hopkins, if he doesn't get Jones or Calzaghe an immediate rematch after their win between those two, right? Who does he face? I know a lot of folks are saying Chad Dawson. Why not Chad Dawson? This is the guy that kind of blew out Tarver and, you know, really showed that Tarver was old, but showed really good boxing skills in defeating Tarver. Well, first off, Tarver's already said he's gonna react to his immediate rematch clause that he has on the contract with him facing Dawson. Now, for Bernard Hopkins, I don't think he'll be up for that fight, to tell you the truth. I don't think he shows any interest to him in that bout. It's what significance will he have in defeating Dawson? What significance is there really? There is really no true threat for Dawson facing Bernard Hopkins. There's no history behind it. It's not going to solidify Bernard Hopkins being one of the great fighters of our time. I mean, if you look at the roster of fighters that Bernard Hopkins has faced already, from Trinidad De La Hoya, Ricky Wright, Joe Calzaghe, Antonio Tarver, Roy Jones, Glenn Johnson. I mean, it's a long, long list of fighters. So adding Chad Dawson doesn't hurt his legacy at all. Okay, if anything, it's more for Chad Dawson to get his name out there, to say, okay, this guy is something. This guy's going to be an X factor in the light heavyweight division. Now, let's really think about the light heavyweight division now. When has it been this exciting? I mean, since the last time it was this exciting, it was probably when Michael Spinks was reigning in the light heavyweight division. So the light heavyweight division to me is now more or less like a welterweight division. It's very deep. Now, Ricky Wright decides to move back up to light heavyweight division even after his loss with Bernard Hopkins. It even spices up even more. There is not really any other options for Bernard Hopkins except for Joe or Jones. Other than that, there's really no reason for him to stick around, for him to go back to middleweight to go to 168, or even for him to go back to middleweight to go to 168, or even to look for a third match with Jermaine Taylor. Unless Jermaine Taylor makes a major statement against Jeff Lacey, but really, he's going to have to make a major statement against facing somebody else like, and now think about this, Jermaine Taylor needs Chad Dawson. And Chad Dawson needs Jermaine Taylor. Now, if they both fight and they defeat, if Chad Dawson gets a defeat over Jermaine Taylor in a much more spectacular fashion like the way Pavlik did, then that might spark a little interest with Bernard Hopkins going, maybe there's something there. Maybe there's money there. Maybe there's something a little bit more there to me take out this young lion so it can only add to my legacy. But other than that, I don't think really Bernard's going to be looking at Chad Dawson unless something like that happens. Now, Jermaine Taylor gives it a bigger, demand if he faces Chad Dawson. If he goes out there and he blows out Chad Dawson. But I don't think he's going to blow him out. If anything, they face each other. It's going to be a good chess match of a middleweight moving up to a light heavyweight division. But I'm going to see Chad Dawson just breaking down this much smaller man and just sending them back down to 168 or 160, where more likely he has greater success. Now, the whole pool of these light heavyweights, where does it leave? Joe. If Joe gets defeated, he's already said it. If I get defeated or I don't have a great performance in this bout, I will continue my career. I think regardless if he defeats Roy Jones Jr., he's going to continue his career because of the fact that he's 37 years old and it took him this long to get his, outgoing party and to get the money that he's been screaming about and to get the legacy that he's been saying that he is. He's not going to walk away. It's very difficult to walk away from the sport when you're on top.